That's good.
No, that's good. Just want to be Pesach, L'chvoid Achsania, the Rosh Skoczylas Shlita, all the Chosheva Avrechim, the Chosheva Balabatim, the Cheshuvim, the Shekoyach for letting me attempt to try to talk about this very, very important topic that I saw on the flyer about Asay L'Charav. Asay L'Charav also includes a chelik that I really want to speak about, which is very important, something which I could try to relate. I'm going to attempt to relate something that I have picked up in the last 20 years in Yerushalayim HaKodesh, which is being Meshamish Gedolei Yisrael, and how it has a shaykhis to the Indian of Asay L'Charav, and hopefully Toch Kedei we could try to fit in within the time that we have, speak out a few shilas where it could be relevant, this whole shmooze about Asay L'Charav and what the importance in Nafkamina is. So I want to start like this. We know that Chazal teach us in Maseches Brachos, in Maseches Avos we know about Asay L'Charav, and in Maseches Brachos Daf Zayin we know about G'dolei Shimush Yotzei Milimuda. We'll try to start with the first chelik of making a Rav, and where it really makes an afkamina. I remember 20 years ago, and I used to have the schus of sitting with Rabbi Yashiv in his house and in Shul every day, and trying to drink a little bit from the Poisek Adar, who was like Rabbi Yashiv, Chad Bedor, was unbelievable koichus hanefesh that he had, and the koich Psak that he had. It was very interesting that many of the shilas that were asked to Rabbi Yashiv were shilas that came up, very practical shilas. And one day, a younger man came to Rabbi Yashiv and asked him a certain shilah, and he gave a psak. The next day, a different younger man happened to be his Einikel, asked him the same shilah, and he gave him a different psak. And of course, right away, everyone started saying that they don't understand. How could Rabbi Yashiv be soiser himself? It's a stira. One day he said mutter, one day he said aser. And then Rabbi Yashiv, when he was approached and he was asked by his grandson, why did you tell this person it was mutter and this one was aser? So he said that you don't know the situation about this person. This person has a certain situation. That's why I told him that he should go and rely on this specific shita in the Rishonim. The other person didn't have that situation, therefore he didn't have to go and give over such a psak, and he didn't have to go and hold by such a psak. Many times, we'll speak about it for a second from the point of the shoyel, right? Many times a person hears that a Rav came and gave a certain psak to a person, b'negei a certain shaila, and then once Pliny hears that psak and everyone else is talking about that psak, so we say, okay, the Maaseh said it's mutter. Yeah, I thought of a few dugmois, so hopefully we'll get to it by the end. I don't want to skip steps, but certain dugmois. Imagine if a person came, right, I'm not being mori halacha, but if a person came to a yid and he said, are you allowed to eat Hershey's chocolate? Right? And he said, what do you mean? The Moshe Feinstein, he writes a few tshuvas. Yordei Chelek Aleph, Siman Mem Zayin, through Mem Tes. At least over there you see a few tshuvas that talk about it. And you see such a shaila that's discussed about a heter, what the heter could possibly be. And if let's say Rav Moshe gave such a heter, the question is it shaykh to every person? So if someone doesn't have a Rav, so it's clear that it's going to be very hard for him to have any type of Masorah. It's going to be hard for him to go and pick anything up and understand anything, why he's doing anything al pi what he thinks is halacha, if he doesn't really have somebody who's guiding him. It could be that the Gadol Ador, or the Rav of a Shchuna, the Rav of a certain shtot, he came and he gave a psak to a certain kehila, he gave a psak to a certain group of people, and it was shaykh to them, and it wasn't shaykh to other people. So that's for sure. As much as we could emphasize this nekuda, it's very, very important for every person to try to make themselves a Rav, a specific Rav, somebody who obviously they understand him and he understands them, and from that, b'siyata d'shmaya, we'll be able to go and take in and understand what exactly the Rav wants from us, what exactly the halacha, what exactly the Shulchan Aruch is demanding for us. The idea of Shimush Talmidei Chachamim, right? Some people think that you have to be a Rav or a younger man or a Poisik to go and be involved in the Indian of Shimush Talmidei Chachamim. Right? The Gemara over there in Brachos, when it talks about the Gedolei Shimush Yosem Milimuda, the Chorah was talking about every person, even somebody who's not even Oisik in Limud Halacha. A person who's learning Kodshim is also allowed to go and look at how a Gadol is noig, and look at how a Chacham is noig in the way he is noig in his Orach Chaim, in the way he goes about, how he's Mekayim his mitzvahs, and how he's Mekayim what it says in Shulchan Aruch. So that we know is also shaykh to everybody. But I was just thinking that some of the basic ideas, some of the basic klalim that we have to always think about is, where do all these psakim, where do all these shailas, shuvas, where do they all come from? Where does it come from that somebody goes and asks a Rav a shaila and he decides that over here they should be machmir, here they are noig to be mekel? Where does it all come from? So we know that there are Gemaras, there's at least in the Gemara in Avodah Zarah and Daf Zayin, we see such a klal that when you have a shaila of a deraisa, a shaila of something which is asur min haTorah, so of course there it could be understood why when you see a sugya with Rishonim, machloikus and the Rishonim about such a sugya, so we can understand why the netiya is to go and be machmir. That's what Chazal teaches us over there in the Gemara. We see in the Rambam also brings this down. So, and whereas as a shaila of Dirabanan, if somebody would go and get involved in a shaila, which is a shaila of Dirabanan, obviously there we see that you're allowed to go and be noite like the shittas of Rishonim that are more mekel. So that's a very nice klal. This is a klal. I once heard that there was a choshev yid was sitting by two of the Gedolei HaPoiskim. Yeah, in America there was the Gedolei HaPoiskim that of this generation, we call it, that Rav Moshe Feinstein and Yaakov Kamenetsky Zatzal, they were two Gedolei HaPoiskim, and as you see in the Sfarim and the Tshuvas, not always were they always on the same page. Somebody once asked them, "No, what do we do in those days?" Right? They used to ask, "What do we do when there's a machloikas of Moshe and Yaakov Kamenetsky?" Today they ask, when there's a machloikas of Shlomo Zalman and Yaakov, everything to feed the door. But when they asked the two Gedolim what they do, so Rav Yaakov said that you should go and wherever there's a shaila of a deraisa, you should go. If I said to be mekel, go like Rav Moshe. If I said to be machmer, if it would be the Rabbanan, you can rely on me. That's what they say. But Rav Yaakov, he added, and he said, the most important thing is making a Rav. Forget about who should you rely on. Have yourself one Rav. Have yourself a mahalach. Have yourself a masoira. Have yourself a derech to go and see who understands you and who you understand, that you should be able to go and be noig in your house according to one specific Rav. So you don't have to always make that cheshbon. Because what happens, l'dugma, when somebody is without a Rav bichlal, when somebody doesn't have too much guidance, so like what we hear a lot of times, you ask a person why he does a certain thing, he says, what do you mean? It's the Rabbanan. So the Rabbanan, right? We find the Gemara in Shabbos and Daf Gimel, what exactly it means when there's different levels of things which are potel or aser, and what's considered mutter, right? But Issa the Rabbanan, it's not mutter. Right? It's not the raisa, it's not mutter, right? It's still a isser. And unfortunately, sometimes, if we don't have the guidance, so it can come out that we are passing on our own that something should be mutter just because of a svara, of something which could sound good in a sugya, v'chulei. Baruch Hashem, the Beis Yosef, he already set, he was the halacha sefer after the Rambam, right? Many doros we see that the Beis Yosef was neskabel, the Shulchan Aruch was neskabel as the halacha sefer for Klal Yisrael, with the agos of the Ramah, and he had a mahalach. His mahalach was very straightforward mahalach, that he beikar went with the three main Rishonim, the Rif, the Ramam, and the Rosh. Whoever was the Roiv of the Poiskim, that's most of the time how he was machriya in his sefer, and that's the way, not like the Marshal, but that's the way that Gans Klal Yisrael, who's following the Shulchan Aruch, is going like that. Is going like the Roiv of the Poiskim. Somebody once said, I once heard from the Choshev of Poisik, he said that today, there's so many machloikesim in the Gedolei HaPoiskim Bizmanenu, and Rav Shlomo Zalman, we had a lot of machloikesim in different shilas in Hilchos Shabbos, like you could see in Shmini Shabbos, Kilchosa brings him, and in the Tshuvas with Rav Moshe, in different shilas. So they said the same thing. Rav Elyashiv, Rav Moshe, and Rav Shlomo Zalman, 2 out of 3. But I don't know if that's a cloud. Don't be samach on it. That was just a shmua. But we know that this mahalach came from the Beis Yosef. It's not so far off. Kolponim, so the idea is like this: that we have some type of a Masorah, like we see that the Shulchan Aruch built his whole halacha sefer based on poiskim that brought him to a mahalach. The same idea over here, that whenever someone is without any type of mahalach, any type of guidance, so obviously he doesn't want to end up in that situation where he ends up paskening like one rishon, or he ends up being noig like one specific rishon in his house, based on something which sounded like it made sense, which really isn't something which is so kedai to do, especially if it's shilas that are also shilas that can get into isurim gemurim. Now I want to just bring out a few other dugmois. There was a chelik also. I didn't get to all the fine print on the flyer, but with reading in between the lines, some of the chashuvei makirim that I know here in the chashuv shchuna. So they asked me also to mention one extra prat while we're discussing this importance of making a rav and the shimush tamidei chachamim, is that when I came to Eretz Yisrael, so I definitely had the she'ifa to go and try to be miskarev to different gedolei Yisrael, and the ikar matorah was also because I was mekayim the divrei Chazal very b'mehuder, that b'hidur rav, that I really was really chaser in many chalakim of Shulchan Aruch, of the Yediyas HaTorah, so it made it so much easier to go and be nidbak to different gedolim, to try to be meshamish a little bit, to try to open up a little bit of a Pesach, that hopefully it would be like it started off like a machat, but make it into a ulam, So we tried to get to different gedolei Yisrael. And I must say that b'siyata d'shmaya, one of the things that I saw by Rav Elyashiv, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, and Ibal L'Chaim Toivim, Rav Azriel Orbach, Rav Victor Neventhal, V'oid, many of the different poiskim in Eretz Yisrael that we still, Ad Mei Vesem, we're still zoiche to go and sit by them and dine with them and sit Tmidim Kesidron literally every week to try to go and field and channel different shilas that get sent from over here, from America, from other countries, to try to go and bring the das Torah of Gedolei Yisrael into the hearts and into the lives of the people living in all areas of the world. And it was important to me, not because I was being so machmir to be mekayim the Gemara and Brachos, but because I really wanted to go and see how to make a Pesach into making a Rav, into making a Mahalach, into trying to get to this place that I was trying to get to. And one of the things that was ma'orer mi a lot, I remember that I was once sitting by Rav Elyashiv's house. I was actually there with a few Talmidei Chachamim, and there was a shaila that came up, a shaila which we'll see how we can tie it into some of the fine print on the flyer. We'll see how to tie it in, but the shaila came up, which is so common, and of course we're not being more halacha lemaisa, but we're just talking about it, that a younger man came in and he said, Rebbe, he asked him, he said, what do you do when you have a shaila of shalom bayis, Keneged, the mitzvahs asay of kavidus avicha v'esimecha? Yeah? Who wants to take such a shaila? I wouldn't want to take such a shaila. But, of course, the Gadol Hador, in 1 second, he knew Kol HaTorah Kula, so for him, he heard a shaila that there's the mitzvah of kivud aveim in front of you, and there's also a very choshev, there's tremendous amount of chazal that speak about the importance of shalom. But, okay, I heard it from his mouth, and Rav Elyashiv said, kivud aveim. Of course, I used to say when Rav Elyashiv was alive, when I spoke, sometimes I said, I couldn't be mefarsim, so I used to not say his name. But now it's already too late because it's only la'alacha v'lo la'maisa. But the idea is that he took a basic shaila which comes up every day, and he cuts through kol HaTorah kula. A person could have learned the sugya and could have said whatever he wants to say. And la'maisa, you came to someone like Rav Elyashiv who knew kol HaTorah kula, and you asked him such a shaila, which, like I said, I don't think anybody wants to be the one to really be machriyat, because there's l'choira many tzadim lekan, and there's a tremendous amount of factors that come up in every single shaila that you can't just split it. Because one time I said this berabim, and somebody said to me, I don't understand what that means. So that means that Rav Elyashiv took into account that that I have to go and move my parents into my house, and I have to go and take them over here, and think, obviously there's many different factors to every shayla, but that's good for what I started saying in the beginning, is that if there would be such a mitzias, if there would be such a reality that people were mefarsim a psak that was said to a specific person about his specific matziv, so it could be chas v'shalom a churban for a person to take out from that lechoira, such a story, such a nice story that he read in a book should apply also to his life. Now, jumping back for a second to the klal, as I want to try to at least say over a dvar halacha, besides for some of this importance that we said a few times already about the importance of making a rav, and Baruch Hashem over here, it seems like it's very easy to make a rav. There's a tremendous amount of koyach over here, as you can see, in such a beis medrash that's male kol Torah, in the wee hours already of the evening. So Baruch Hashem, they made it easy, all the roshim over here. But I just want to say something which we can at least take out an idea. Maybe you can think about it and see if it makes sense. L'moshel, about this klali psak that I mentioned before, right? We mentioned that when it comes to trying to get to psak halacha l'maisa, obviously not on your own, or on trying to understand your Rav and what exactly he's giving you, what he's giving over to you. So if you have the klalim of a shayla of a deraisa, so usually people try to go and be noite lahachmir. If a person's learning a sugya in Hilchos Shabbos, Melech Shabbos, it could be a shayla of boirer. So it's not such a geschmacka thing to do, to shrug your shoulders and say, it's probably okay, especially over there where the Iglei Tal, the Mishnah Berurah calls him in the Akdama, that's exactly the idea. That was exactly the makar to where this his oirus came from, that a person chas v'shalom be over on the rices very easily while he's eating a suda. So obviously something which is chomer like that, we try definitely to go with the klal of azlinan l'chumra when someone has such a shayla, and not to do things on his own. But sometimes you see the other way. Very often we get asked a shayla that's neged to Yerodea, where a person goes over to somebody's house and he realizes that his kalim are not toiveld. Okay, let's speak a random shayla. He goes to his neighbor's house for a suda, and he sees that the kalim are not toiveld. How does someone know kalim are not toiveld? Sticker? Someone said sticker. That's very good. Whoever was moired that, you're right. You see a sticker, especially if you see that the sticker is rubbing out, so then you know that it's bad news, right? Because that means that Imamish went in there with the kpeda, with the mikvah took the whole kli with the kpeda and l'chora, like you see in Yerodea Kuf Chaf in Sif Yudalid, that it's a problem. In Sif Yud Beis, it's a problem of miut, a problem of chatzitza on the kli. But anyways, a person goes to somebody's house for a suda, and everybody's singing zmiros and smiling, and this person doesn't have that the kli is toiveld. He knows that he didn't toivel the kli in the middle of Suda Shabbos. So here's a very nice example of a shayla where the Mesoira of Psak, where a Rav could be coming from, if you go to him in Shul after davening or whatever, or if you know before you're going to this person's house again, and for whatever reason you know that they didn't toivel the kli, you ask the Rav, are you allowed to eat there? And he tells you, eat there. And how do we understand such a Psak? L'maisa, just the kitzer, right? We know the Mishnah and the Ayin Heyom and Beis in the Maseches Avodah Zarah teaches us about the mitzvah or chiyuv to go and be toivel kelim in a mikvah of Arbaim Sa, right? It's halacha. There's a machlokes in the Rishonim that discuss about whether or not this chiyuv is a chiyuv min haTorah, this mitzvah is a mitzvah min haTorah, or it's the Rabbanan. But one thing's for sure, even though we do go with Iker Rishonim that for sure a metal kli and a metal kli has to go and be toivel in a mikvah of Arbaim Sa min haTorah. But there's another knetch, there's something called the chiyuv to go and toivel a kli, and there's the next chelik of the mitzvah of the tfilas kelim, which is the ishtamshus of the kli. What is the gather of the ishtamshus of a kli? What exactly does it mean when a person is using a keli? That's the iser, that's the iser deraisa. That's what's learned out from the Gemara over there, to go and be mechayev the person to go and toivel the kli. So this we see beforish the Mishnah Berurah actually in the Ber Halacha in Shin Chav Gimel in Orach Chaim in Sif Zayin. He mentions over there from Yeshua Yaakov that he says that it's true that we have a machlokes rishonim whether or not we're obligated min haTorah to go and toivel a kli. But la halacha lemaisa, he says over there to be mishtamish with the kli, to use a kli that wasn't toiveled, that thing is only midrabanan. Came Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach to give us a little bit of a direction, and he said, very nice. So you see over here, Hishtamshus of the Kli is only the Rabbanan. That already knocks it down, already a darga. We're not talking already about a Shaila of the Raisa, we're talking about a Shaila of the Rabbanan. Once we're already talking about a Shaila of the Rabbanan, we can try to discuss already two things that could possibly bring us to a heter to go and use a Kli, especially if it's b'makom busha, b'shas adchak. Why is it a shas adchak? Because you're sitting at somebody else's table. You could definitely get to real Isser min ha-Torah, ben adam l'chaveroi, if you embarrass him in the wrong way, chas v'shalom. So it's definitely understood why a shayla like that, you can get to shaylas of Dirabanan that can open up a Pesach, obviously from Gedolei HaPoiskim, that can open up a Pesach for a person to go and understand such a kula. Whereas on our own to say such a thing, it might be difficult. Another example I find is unbelievable. I mentioned before, I wasn't saying it as a joke, the bar of the Hershey's, that it wasn't exactly, it wasn't a joke. I wanted to bring it out to La Halacha also. This is a perfect example, I think I'm negay b'davar, but it might be a good example to what we're talking about. It says in the Gemara in Avodah Zarah, in the Mishnah, is where it starts on Lamed Hey Amud Beis. So we see over there that the person who leaves a goy by himself to go and milk cows, so we're afraid that maybe he went and mixed in some of the non-kosher milk, right, inside the cow milk, inside the kosher milk. And if he did that, so it's coming out that a person is drinking mamish something which is asur. Yeah, not exactly like the same isser of if let's say a goyish cleaning lady was cleaning in your house and cooking in your house and using your kalim without you being there and getting involved in the fire, and all of a sudden the kalim become balua from Isser Bishul Akum. This is much worse than that. This could be Mamish Isser itself. Over there by Bishul Akum, when a guy goes and cooks from Kalim of a Yid, a Meichel which is subject to the halachas, to the Yisurim of Bishul Akum, so it comes out that they were over on this Isser D'Rabbanan, but it was only because we were afraid that you were going to go to marry a non-Jew. Yeah? The Chazal were kindness the person. The Chazal were kindness the person. They gave a knas to the person, and therefore it made a problem in the food and the kalim. But milk could be much worse than that. But it's very interesting that over here, a person for sure would justify that L'maisel of Moshe Feinstein, Mi Kamoyu, especially who like Rav Moshe Feinstein knew better to bring rayas, that even though it's true that in the sugya of Chalav Akum a person needs to go and sit there, at least make the goy be afraid that he's coming in and out, or at least to see, be a mashkiach, to go and watch what the guy is doing, to watch exactly if he is if he's putting the milk in or not. But Rav Moshe was mechadesh with rayas that since they have something called the FDA, that they're going to knas somebody, they're going to find somebody or fire somebody, so that itself is doimet to a raya, even though even though a person needs to have re'iyah to go and be made on something or to be mashgiach on something. Over here, Rav Moshe said an additional chiddush. Now, I'm not getting into the whole sugya, but over here we find the unbelievable amunus chachamim. Yeah, it sounds like something which is so far from a person to go and mix in the chalav tamei, because either he's afraid that he's going to get fired, or he's afraid he's going to get knas, or they're going to shut him down. And Rav Moshe's tshuva is very, very important, and it's very true. But here's another perfect example that a person says, listen, Rav Moshe Feinstein matered it. Now what happens when they pulled out letters and they saw that Rav Moshe Feinstein wrote to a person, I forgot his name already, Rabbi Weinfeld, he wrote him a tshuva and he said, whatever I wrote over there was all b'shas adchak. So all of a sudden you see that it's not exactly so geshmak. That, he wrote this tshuva. I remember when I had the schus to learn with the Ephraim Greenblatt in Eretz Yisrael the last few years of his life, and he told me how Rav Moshe was so makbid in the yeshiva, he never b'chalal would allow such a thing. And that's what you see afterwards in the letters, that it wasn't so simple to allow such a thing. So I always use this as an example that without having any direction, without having any rav, and just saying things on our own, again, I'm not saying any halacha l'maisa b'chalal, I'm just saying as a dogma, mitzad echad Chazal told us that we have to be choishesh. Rav Moshe Feinstein opened for us the doors and understanding the sugya how it could be mutter. We see that he himself didn't say that it was so permissible l'chatchila. And then today there's already new. We don't have the time to talk about it, but today there's already new chashashos, which I'm not getting into. But they have all types of chashashos. Why the FDA doesn't care so much anymore, and they have all types of things that could make it much worse. Such a thing could be very problematic, and therefore it's very important to know exactly what we're allowed to take out of all these tshuvas, what we're allowed to take out of the psakim, and the importance of having a gadol who is being machriya for you, a person who is guiding you, is something which is very important, like we see, and we can go on. If we would have enough time, we would go on and on of dugmois to be mechazik in this Indian of how important it is to go and be meshamish the rabbanim, to try to understand what's going on, to try to understand what exactly the shorish of the psak is coming from, and that of course will bring a tremendous tzura. It will bring a tzura to the house. The houses will definitely look different when the things that we decide to do are based on the patience that we take to go and be mevarer the idea, to go and ask the Rav and find out exactly what is going on. Something which halavai that I myself should be zoche to do. What I said now was just a small experience in something which we tried to do over the years as we were zoche in the years of some of the gedolim that aren't with us anymore, and Yibad L'chaim Tov, and the ones that are, where I see myself from a personal example. It's something which is very choshev. I don't want to go over time. I see there's another minute. They'll say one other story. We'll end with one other story, where we see this yesod, where we see this idea that people shouldn't go and take every single psak that's given out there for their own situation without being mevar if his specific needs are also for that specific shaila. There's a very interesting yesod in halacha in regards to kasher and kelim. We know that a kli, a utensil that became nesar, became asur, either because they cooked in it meat and milk, let's say, or isurim, and it needs to go through a kashering process. So the halach is you have to go and kasher, you have to go and put into a boiling pot, into a boiling dud, which is boiling and bubbling of water, hot water. Put it there when it's not ben yomer. Not ben yomer means that it wasn't used within the last 24 hours, where there the taste that was absorbed inside the walls is like a dead taste, and it's not going to come out anymore. And such a thing is required when someone has a utensil which is nesar from Isser. A very interesting story happened in Bnei Brak. Bnei Brak, where there was tremendous amount of Gedolei Yisrael. So there was an unbelievable story. The Shai Tshuva, in Orach Chaim Tafnan Aleph, in Sivkot and Aleph, he brings a famous Tshuva from the Chacham Tzvi. Chacham Tzvi, right? Some people heard the Chacham Tzvi because they know that he discussed the idea of keeping 2 days, or 1 day, right? But there's also another Chacham Tzvi that became very famous, and that's the one that I'm telling you now, that was brought in the Shai Tshuva, in Sivkot and Aleph, and Siman Tafnan Aleph, in Hilchos Agolas Kelim Pesach. He writes over there that if the utensil wasn't used for 12 months, so it's so dead the taste, you don't even have to go, and it's not going to create any questions of Yisurim if you use it afterwards, and you can already be potter, you can be exempt from kashing the kli. So it's an interesting maisa of a very choshev about tshuva. There's a very choshev about tshuva in Bnei Brak, who he came to his Rebbe, Agoy and Agol Rav Nissen Karelitz Zatzal. And he asked him the shaila like this. He said, I got an unbelievable set of kelim from his parents, from his grandmother, and it was a tremendous amount of hefsid for him not to use it because it was a very fancy set of kelim and it was worth a lot of money, and he wanted to use it. It was very nice. He wanted to use it. He came and he asked the Rav, he asked Rav Nissen Karelitz, he wanted to know if he could use it, and Rav Nissen told him that, there's a Chacham Tzvi that says if you wait a year, so there's what to talk about. So he said that because it was a kli cheres, it was made out of cheres, it was made out of pottery, and pottery we know already from Mishnayos and Kelim and the Gemara in the Avodah Zarah, you see that you can't kasher pottery. So he said, so wait a year. He told him wait a year, and when you get to the end of the year, then we're going to see if we can rely on this sheet of the Chacham Tzvi. And as I forgot to mention, right, the Chacham Tzvi was the Chiddush that was brought down the Shari Tshuva, but the Mishnah Brura and all Achronim, they don't bring him la'alacha l'maisa. They don't paskin like him like that. So he said, okay, this is what the Rav said. He waited 12 months, Came the 12 months, he came back to his Rebbe. He told him, he said, Rebbe, at this point, I don't even want the heter anymore. He steiged for a year, and by the time he steiged for the year, the Kli Enechanami was dead. But he was alive. He was steiging. He grew so much, and he thought, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to be soymech on these kulas. So the Maisa, we see that every time, you can't be medama milsa lemilsa on your own. There's always yotzim in a klal. There's always exceptions to the rule, and not every person, like we said already a few times, is able to go and take every Maisa and learn from it and to bring out halacha. The best thing is to continue doing what you're doing until now, which is asay lecharav, be mishamash gedolei Yisrael, be mishamash tamid chachamim, take the next another Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, which is the Chacham is learning mikol adam, learn from the Chaverim, learn from the wonderful people over here in North Miami Beach, and a Yosher Koyach for everybody for listening and in allowing us to go and try to attempt to speak over some of the different ideas b'nogei ta'asei lecharav and gedolei shimush yesem mitalmudei.